Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for today's edition of the Eco International podcast. If you tuned in the podcast last night, you might remember us informing you that we would be covering a different major world ecosystem each night, due to Ecology Week. We covered tundra last night, so tonight we will be talking to you about the temperate deciduous forest. If you live in the north, east, or west of the United States, you'll be familiar with this ecosystem. We are based out of northern Michigan in the center of a temperate deciduous forest. If you are thinking that you might be living in or near one of these forests, just look around you. Do you see a lot of deciduous trees like oak, maple, or beech? These types of trees lose their leaves in the fall and return in the spring. You'll also notice a small variety in the number of the tree species in the forest, but there will be a great diversity of plant life at ground level. Based on this, do you know if you live in a temperate deciduous forest? We'll help you try to determine if you do, so stay online with us for a few minutes while we explain what one can expect to find in our ecosystem. If you do live in one of these forests, you'll notice a moderate climate that changes significantly throughout the year. One can expect to experience about 30 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter and a high of 80 to 90 degrees in the summer. While the temperature varies during different seasons, the temperatures are still relatively moderate compared to the extreme biomes found in other places around the world. In a temperate deciduous forest, one can also expect evenly distributed precipitation throughout the year. On average, this type of forest will receive between 30 to 60 inches of rainfall. To put this in perspective, consider that the average tropical rainforest will receive between 60 to 80 inches of rainfall at the least. The plant life of this type of forest can be notably diverse, which results from relatively high insulation concentration on the forest floor. Many of the food webs present in a temperate deciduous forest begin with insects and proceed to small rodents and birds. From there, small land predators and birds of prey succeed them, with the top of the food web being influenced by large carnivores and omnivores like bears, wolves, and mountain lions. The productivity in this type of forest typically depends on the types of species inhabiting the biome. In a temperate deciduous forest with limited animal wildlife, the amount of biomass produced will also be limited because there are heterotrophs living there. Primary productivity, however, is generally high in a deciduous forest in the spring and summer, when the primary organisms undergo photosynthesis to provide sustenance. The most influential abiotic factor in a temperate deciduous forest is sunlight. The amount of sunlight that reaches organisms on the ground is essential to the growth of new trees, which make up the majority of this biome's biomass. Also, the great diversity of a plant life on the surface level is affected significantly by the amount of sunlight that the forest floor is exposed to. The temperate deciduous forest is one of the largest types of forests in North America, and it is easily identified for its tendency to lose leaves during the fall and winter seasons, and its unique food web structure. One interesting fact is that the deciduous forests lose their leaves in order to retain precious water. By losing their leaves, a tree is able to protect its supply of water by eliminating the loss of water from evaporation of the moisture within a plant, also known as transpiration. Thanks for listening to Eco International's contribution to Ecology Week, and you can join us again tomorrow night as we discuss the coniferous forest.